Tonight's tale is read from the August House Book of Scary Stories, Spooky Tales for Telling Out Loud, edited by Liz Parkhurst, and published by August House, Inc. We will be reading Johnny and the Dead Man's Liver, an African-American folk tale, by James Sparky Rucker. Once there was a boy named Johnny, who was a precocious young man and who sometimes disobeyed his parents. If they asked him to do a chore, he'd often find an excuse, if not every reason in the book, to delay it or disobey it. One day, his mother was planning their dinner, and she decided to have liver and onions. Johnny, who usually loved her liver and onions, was asked to go to the butcher shop, which was located in the supermarket, to purchase the liver. Johnny asked his mother, "Mom, can I also get some candy?" His mother, in the typical mother response, said,
"No, you eat too much junk food."
Now, the only thing Johnny liked more than liver and onions was candy, and the more he thought about it, as he dragged his feet along slowly while trekking to the store, was, "I want some candy. I need some candy. And I'm going to buy some candy too." When he arrived at the supermarket, he immediately went to the candy stand and bought so much candy that he had no money left over to buy the liver with. In fact, he totally forgot the liver. And as he was walking back home, eating the candy to the last bite, it occurred to him that he had not bought the liver. "My mother is going to skin me alive. What am I going to do?" He pondered this dilemma as he passed a graveyard, where a funeral was just finishing up. And as folks were leaving the graveyard, a thought popped into Johnny's head. "I can sneak back here to the graveyard and dig up the corpse and take that liver." He continued to his home, where his mother had been waiting for the liver to begin her preparation for that night's meal. In walked Johnny, without the liver.
"Johnny,"
his mother said.
"where's the liver?"
"Oops," responded Johnny.
"I guess I totally forgot."
He then ran back out the door, snuck around behind the house to the tool shed, where he retrieved a shovel and a large knife. He then proceeded back to the graveyard. It was getting to be dusk as he arrived, and there was nobody around.
"This is going to be easy,"
he said to himself as he began to dig in the soft earth. The grave belonged to old Mr. Walker, and when Johnny dug him up, he was still fresh. Johnny turned up his nose
Ugh.
and began to carve out old Mr. Walker's liver. He wrapped it in paper and trudged back home with the dripping prize. Johnny's mother was again waiting at the door, where she immediately grabbed the package.
"I've got to hurry because your father will be home soon, and we will be wanting his dinner."
When Johnny's father came home from work, the smell of liver and onions was in the air. He grinned a toothy grin, winked at Johnny, and said,
"Sure smells good. Your favorite dinner too, son?"
Johnny didn't respond. He began to feel sick as he tried to figure out how he was going to pass on the night's dinner. When the table was set, Johnny's mother called out,
"Dinner's ready,"
as she rang the dinner bell. Everyone sat down. Father said the prayer, and the dishes and cutlery began to rattle and ring around the table. Johnny's father noticed that he was conspicuously passing up the liver and onions.
"What's the matter, son?"
he said.
"You usually love liver and onions."
"I don't know, Dad,"
replied Johnny.
It must be something I ate previously. I just don't feel like eating much right now.
Since Johnny usually ate up most of the liver and onions, his father was glad to have the lion's share of the dinner. In fact, he even remarked how especially good the liver was tonight. Johnny's mother said that it was okay if he wanted to leave the table, and if he wanted some later, it could be heated up. Johnny half-heartedly agreed and went on upstairs to prepare himself for bed. He climbed the 13 steps up to his bedroom, quickly shed his clothes, and thanked his lucky stars that he'd gotten away with the deception. The night began to get darker, and the wind began to howl from an approaching storm. Johnny was at first frightened, as most kids are at an electrical storm, but the escapades of the day had worn him out, and he soon fell into a troubled sleep. At the stroke of midnight, there was a crash. Johnny sat bolt upright in bed.
What was that?
He said to himself. The wind was really howling by this time, and several flashes of lightning split the night.
Must have been thunder.
He convinced himself. But he noticed that the front gate was swinging to and fro in the wind. Bam! Bam! As he began to finally settle back down, he heard, almost as if on the voice of the wind,
What?
He answered sleepily. The voice was a little louder now.
What is it?
It's me.
Answered a disembodied voice.
It's Mr. Walker, Johnny.
Mr. Walker?
Yes,
Said Mr. Walker.
I want my liver back.
I don't have your liver, Mr. Walker.
Exclaimed Johnny.
Yes, you do.
Said Mr. Walker.
And I want it back.
And with that, Johnny heard the front door creak open. He heard shuffling noises as the feet were crossing the floor. And then he heard, in a spooky, sing-song voice,
Johnny, I'm in your house.
Then Johnny heard footsteps on the stair, leading up to his bedroom.
Johnny, I'm on your first step. Johnny, I'm on your second step. Johnny, I'm on your third step. Johnny, I'm on your fourth step. Johnny, I'm on your fifth step. Johnny, I'm on your sixth step. Johnny, I'm on your seventh step.
Johnny began to whimper.
What am I gonna do?
Johnny, I'm on your eighth step. Johnny, I'm on your ninth step. Johnny, I'm on your 10th step. Johnny, I'm on your 11th step.
Johnny pulled the covers up over his head.
Johnny, I'm on your 12th step. Johnny, I'm on your 13th step. Johnny, I'm in the hall. Johnny, I'm at your door.
Johnny began to sweat profusely. Johnny began to tremor uncontrollably as he whimpered out,
I don't have your liver. Help!
Johnny,